Welcome to Copernicus AI, Frontiers of Science. I'm Bella, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of supramolecular chemistry and self-assembly. Adam, what exactly is supramolecular self-assembly, and what makes it such a revolutionary field?
Thanks, Bella. Supramolecular self-assembly is essentially the process by which molecules spontaneously organize themselves into larger, well-defined structures through non-covalent interactions. Think of it like Lego bricks. But instead of snapping together, they're held together by forces like hydrogen bonding, van der Waals forces, and electrostatic interactions. It's revolutionary because it allows us to build incredibly complex structures from the bottom up, with potential applications spanning from medicine to materials science.
So instead of forcing molecules into specific arrangements, you're letting them organize themselves? That sounds incredibly elegant, but also potentially chaotic. How do researchers control this process?
That's a great question. Control is key. Researchers manipulate the design of the individual molecules to influence their self-assembly behavior. This includes things like the shape of the molecule, the types of functional groups present, and the solvent environment. For example, Thomas Roussel and Lourdes F. Vega, in their 2012 paper, The Self-Assembly of Nano-Objects Code, Applications to Supramolecular Organic Monolayers Adsorbed on Metal Surfaces, link in the description, demonstrated how the SANO code can predict the molecular self-assembly of different structural motifs by tuning the molecular building blocks and the metallic substrate. So, we can actually simulate and predict these processes before even heading to the lab.
That's incredible. So computational models are playing a role here too? How do these simulations help?
Absolutely. Simulation is becoming increasingly vital. Hadi H. Arafi and Takeshi Yamamoto, in their 2017 paper in ArcSiv, explored the utility of replica exchange with solute tempering to study the self-assembly of a model supramolecular polymer. The link is in the description. These simulations help us understand the thermodynamics and kinetics of self-assembly, allowing us to design molecules that will self-assemble into the desired structures more efficiently. It also allows researchers to explore conditions that might be too costly or time-consuming to test experimentally.
You mentioned applications spanning from medicine to materials science. Can you give us some specific examples?
Certainly. In medicine, supramolecular self-assembly is being explored for targeted drug delivery. Imagine designing a nanocarrier that self-assembles around a drug molecule and only releases it at the site of a tumor. In materials science, it's being used to create new types of electronic devices, sensors, and catalysts. Ina Heckelmann, Zifei Liu, and colleagues in their 2022 paper, Supramolecular Self-Assembly as a Tool to Preserve Electronic Purity of Parylene Diamide Chromophores, we'll link to that in the description, showed how supramolecular self-assembly can preserve the electronic purity of organic semiconductors, which is crucial for their performance in optoelectronic applications like solar cells.
So, by controlling the way molecules come together, you can improve the performance of solar cells? That's a significant step forward. Are there limitations to this approach?
Of course. One major challenge is controlling the size and shape of the resulting structures with high precision. Another is ensuring that the self-assembly process is robust and reproducible. Factors like temperature, solvent, and impurities can all affect the outcome. Furthermore, scaling up the production of these materials can be difficult. We also need a deeper understanding of the energy landscapes involved in self-assembly, as highlighted by Emily R. Roussel and Govind Menon in their 2015 paper about energy landscapes for the self-assembly of supramolecular polyhedra. The link is in the description.
It sounds like understanding the fundamental forces at play is crucial. Are there theoretical frameworks that guide this research?
Yes, there are. Researchers are using various theoretical approaches, including dynamic Landau theory, to describe the kinetics of self-assembly. Nitin S. Tiwari, Cohen Merkus, and Paul van der Schoot discussed this in their 2016 paper with the link in the description. This theory helps us understand how the system evolves over time and how different parameters affect the self-assembly process. It provides a powerful tool for predicting and controlling the behavior of supramolecular systems.
I see. So where do you see this field heading in the next 5-10 years?
I think we'll see significant advances in several areas. We'll likely see the development of more sophisticated computational models that can accurately predict the self-assembly behavior of complex molecules. We'll also see the creation of new types of functional materials with tailored properties driven by the integration of nanotechnology and quasi-crystals, as discussed by Ron Lifshitz in their 2008 paper. The link is in the description. I also anticipate breakthroughs in using self-assembly for targeted drug delivery and regenerative medicine. Overall, I believe that supramolecular self-assembly will play an increasingly important role in solving some of the world's most pressing challenges.
This is really fascinating. It's amazing to see how researchers are harnessing the power of molecular interactions to create new materials and technologies. It seems we're only scratching the surface of what's possible. What about the differences between open and closed self-assembly systems?
That's an important distinction. Martin Castelnuovo, Timothée Verdier, and Lionel Faure explored this in their 2014 paper, comparing open and closed molecular self-assembly, the link to which is in the description. In closed systems, the total number of molecules is fixed. In open systems, there's a continuous exchange of molecules with the environment, which can lead to different assembly pathways and structures. Understanding these differences is crucial for designing self-assembling systems that can function in complex environments.
So, open systems might be more relevant for biological applications, where there's a constant flow of molecules? That makes sense.
Exactly. And understanding how to encode complexity within these systems is crucial. Andrew B. Cairns, Matthew J. Cliff, and colleagues explored this in their 2016 paper on supramolecular analogs of frustrated magnets. The link is in the description. By carefully designing the interactions between molecules, we can create systems that exhibit emergent behavior and perform complex functions.
Adam, this has been incredibly insightful. Thank you for breaking down the complexities of supramolecular self-assembly and highlighting its revolutionary potential.
My pleasure, Bella. It's an exciting field with a bright future.